ಸೊಬಗಾವ ದೇವರಲಿ ನಾ ಕಾಣೆ ಈ ಪರಿಯ ಸೊಬಗಾವ ದೇವರಲಿ ನಾ ಕಾಣೆ ಗೋಪಿ ಜನ ಪ್ರಿಯ ಗೋಪಾಲದಲ್ಲದೆ ಈ ಪರಿಯ ಸೊಬಗಾವ ದೇವರಲಿ ನಾ ಕಾಣೆ ದೊರೆಯತನದಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡೆ ಧರಣಿ ದೇವಿಗೆ ರಮಣ ದೊರೆಯತನದಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡೆ ಧರಣಿ ದೇವಿಗೆ ರಮಣ ಸಿರಿಯತನದಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡೆ ಶ್ರೀಕಾಂತನು ಹಿರಿಯತನದಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡೆ ಸರಸಿಜೋ
पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्ददामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम् वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्. By the infinite grace of Lord Krishna and Sri Ramakrishna, we are continuing to study Bhagavadgita. We are now in the third chapter, the 16th and 17th slokas. Krishna speaks about the chakra. The chakra means the cycle, the cosmic cycle. In fact, the creation happens through the karma. It is the karma chakra or the srishti chakra. Annad bhavanti bhutani parjanyad anna sambhavaha, etc. We have read. All living beings are created due to the food, and the origin of food lies in the rains, and the rains are due to the yajna, and yajna has origin in the Vedas itself, and the Vedas have origin in the Brahman or the Supreme Lord, Akshara. So yajna is the main cause, main factor of this whole life circle. So nityam satmat sarvagatam brahma nityam yajne pratishtitam. Though the Vedas are encyclopedic in nature, they touch upon every aspect of the human life. They are mainly centered in yajna. So from the yajna we have the parjanya or the rains. From rains we have food, and from food we have all the living beings. So in this way the life cycle continues or revolves around. So one should follow that cycle. Evam pravartitam chakram nanuvartayati yaha. So what is meant by following the cycle? We also should contribute towards the life cycle or the cycle of the creation, and it is a cosmic law. So in Vedas there are three concepts, one earlier than the another. The first concept is Rutam. Rutam means a systematic law through which the whole world revolves, the whole world is created and is sustained. We don't believe in absolute creation or absolute destruction. We believe in the projection from the ultimate God, and everybody, including the man, animals, and all living beings, are sustained by the Lord, are in the Lord, and ultimately everything goes back to its potential, the Lord itself. So once again in the next cycle, the same process continues, and this is how we explain the life cycle or the Srishti Chakra. So one should follow this. One should evam pravartitam nanu vartayati. He does not follow. Does not follow means the yajna or the sacrifice is the sum and substance of this whole cycle of Srishti or the creation. If one does not follow means what? If he doesn't contribute to the society, if one does not contribute to his family, one he does not come out of his egocentric attitude and lead a selfless life, and such a person, aghayuhu, his own lifespan is spent in vain. Agha means papa or the seal. He is leading a sinful life because he is Indriya Rama. He takes pleasures in the Indriyas alone. So Indriyas are the sources of pleasures for the very common people. So those who take pleasures in intellectual, they are slightly better, but the best kind of people, the cream of the society, are those who find pleasures in Atman. That will be told in the next sloka. So Indriya Rama makes a man next to brute. He is none other than the animal itself. There is a common characteristic between animals and the human being, that both take pleasures in the indriyas or the senses by seeing, touching, tasting, etc. So if we confine our life to Indriya Rama, taking pleasures in the Indriyas alone, we are to be considered as brutes. So we don't contribute to society, we don't contribute to the country, so we lead really a sinful life. So Krishna says, Aghayuhu. So one who lives the Indriya Rama life, one who is Indriya Rama, is an Aghayu. His own lifespan is spent in sinful activities. And such a person, Mogham Partha Sajivati. He really lives a wasteful life. Mogha means wasteful, lives in vain. So suppose a person is living in a sinful activities, always doing some corruption and always engaged in evil activities. He is really a stupid person, a vagabond, or a one who is leading a wasteful life. So he is compared to that kind of person. The person who doesn't contribute to the society, who does not think there is something other than his what is that selfless, selfish life. So one should not live selfish life. One should go beyond that. One should come out of the egocentrism. And if he doesn't live that life, he is leading a sinful life, aghayuhu, and he only takes pleasures in the indriyas, indriya ramaha, and such a person lived a wasteful life. Mogham parthasa jivati. So in contrast, a person who takes pleasure in the Atman alone, such a person doesn't require any work, because we should understand the basic principle of work. Why we do action? To fulfill something which we do not have, or to have something we desire, we take into action. Action is a movement. Action involves duality. There is something I want to achieve. In order to achieve, I do something. That is called action. And also action involves what is called karika, the agents of the action. If action is there, there is a karta, doer, and there is an instrument called uh, karikas, etc. So all these instruments and the karik, so many kinds of factors are involved in the action. All these factors will make us do an action. So there is a duality there. There is a multiplicity there. Only when a man in the state of duality can do action. That is why Vedanta says action is possible only in the state of ignorance. If one sees Atman everywhere, one who takes pleasures in Atman, one who is blissful in Atman doesn't have any action, really. And such a state of person, person who has achieved that state, is described in the 17th shloka. Yastvatma ratireva syat atmatruptascha manavaha atmanyeva cha santushtaha tasya karyam na vidyate. Let us start from the last part of the shloka. Tasya karyam na vidyate. In fact, the work is not mandatory for him. Krishna afterwards clarifies, even such a man of perfection has to continue to do the work for the sake of Lokasangraha. Lokasangraha has got several dimensions, we shall study about it. Here, the Lokasangraha briefly means for the welfare of the world. One should show the example. The ideal person is he who shows the example for others. The people consider the perfected souls like Krishna, Jesus Christ, the Buddha, Sri Ramakrishna to be the people who are embodiments of the ideals. They follow them. So these great souls should continue to work, and they worked also. So they did not sit idle just because they have attained perfection. They continue to do work for the sake of the world, for the betterment of the world, so that the people will not deviate from their path, will not go astray in the wrong path. So such persons are the first character Krishna explains, Atma Rati. What a wonderful word it is. Rati means enjoyment. I take enjoyment in eating sweets. That means my Mishtana Rati. Mishtana means in Sanskrit sweet. If I take enjoyment, if I derive enjoyment eating only the Mishtana, I am a Mishtana Rati. So in the case of other pleasures, we have hundreds of means to get the pleasures in this world. We use every one of them. Every day from morning to evening, we look upon, we search for, we hanker for every avenue to enjoy ourselves through different means. The first thing we do is to have a cup of coffee. This is the means of enjoyment. I enjoyed the coffee. When I was in Australia, I was astonished to see the people using the word enjoyment everywhere. Have you enjoyed the coffee? Have you enjoyed the food? Have you enjoyed the breakfast? Have you enjoyed the drive? For everything they would add an epithet or qualification. Have you enjoyed? But in India, enjoyment is a bad word. But in Western countries, in the Western culture, enjoyment is what for the life is for. If you don't enjoy, there is no life. But such kind of enjoyment is not the real enjoyment, because as yoga clearly says, sarvam dukkham vivekinaha, there is an element of dukkha, suffering, in each kind of enjoyment that we have experienced. One cannot enjoy 100%. It is impossible. Even if we enjoy to the most extent, and they still followed by dukkha or the suffering. Suffering is a part and parcel of the life. We cannot do away with it. Enjoyment is always followed by the suffering, and suffering is always followed by the kind of pleasure. And pleasure is nothing but another form of the dukkha or the suffering. And the suffering and the enjoyment are the both coin, both faces of the same coin. One cannot be without another. And Sri Swami Vivekananda explains in the Bhakti Yoga, in the Karma Yoga. So you cannot attain only pleasure. You cannot enjoy only the pleasure. If you want to enjoy only pleasure, you will be inviting the misery also. The pleasures and the miseries are both come together or come one after the another. But in the strictest sense, as yoga says, the pleasure is also a form of the misery. But this person finds his pleasure, enjoyment only in the Atman. We can always replace for our convenience Atma with the Paramatma, because Paramatma is none other than the Atma. Who is Atman? The Paramatman itself. The Gita says, Krishna says in the 13th chapter, I am the Kshetrajna in all the Kshetras. Kshetrajnam chapimam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata. I am the Supreme Self residing in all the bodies. That means the so-called Self is the Supreme Self, that is Krishna Himself, the Supreme Lord Himself. If it is said somewhere Atman, it is nothing but Paramatman. In the Advaita Vedanta, there is no difference between Atma and the Paramatman. So, Yasyatma ratireva syat means when he finds pleasure or enjoyment and only in the Atman. All other things look insipid for him. Suppose you taste a best food, best dosa in Bangalore, all other dosas will look bad, will look as if not at all good for you, because you have tasted the best dosa in Bangalore. That happened to Ashwatthama. It's a Mahabharata story. Ashwatthama was born into a very poor family. Dronacharya was a very poor man, but Ashwatthama then had the company of Kauravas. He went to the Kauravas' house and drank the real milk for the first time. When he drank the real milk and he found out what is really milk is, and he discovered he was drinking only the water mixed with kind of flour. He was drinking flour water, thinking that itself is the milk, because his family, his father, parents couldn't afford to give him the milk at all. So when we drink the nectar of divine joy, then we will understand what really is the joy, the bliss. That's why one of the intrinsic characteristics of the Brahman is Ananda, Sat Chit Ananda. Shankaracharya explains, Ananda doesn't mean that when we derive from the sense contact, all kinds of pleasures we get out of contact of the sense organs with the objects of the senses, that we call it as Ananda. Suppose we eat a dish, our contact with the jihva or the tongue, and that gives us pleasure, and we derive some kind of bliss, happiness out of it. That we call it as happiness. But there is a transcendental dimension to Ananda, where all contacts of the senses cease to exist. One finds joy in himself, one finds joy in the presence of Atman or Paramatman, the Supreme God, who resides in the hearts of all. Hruddeshe Arjuna Tishtati, Ishvara Sarvabhutanam, Hruddeshe Arjuna Tishtati. So we should try to find joy. So there are three kinds of Ananda. One is Vishayananda. One gets joy out of the objects outside. That is what we are trying to derive, Ananda. But it is not happening. We are not getting happiness out of the objects of this world. And the second form is Bhajanananda. If we sing the glories of Lord, if we remember the God, if we constantly contemplate on God, that is Bhajanananda. It gives immense joy, at least for the part of the time when we are able to contemplate or sing the glories of the Lord. But the higher than that is Brahmananda or the Paramatmananda. When we completely merge our mind in the consciousness of the God, the Paramatman or the Atman or the Brahman, whatever may be the name, that is called the Brahmananda. We don't need any external help or objects to seek joy. The joy is within. The Bhagavan himself is Ananda. The Taittiriya Upanishad says, Anandam Brahmano Vidyat. Know that Brahman to be the supreme bliss itself. The whole teaching of Taittiriya Upanishad is to instruct that Brahman is Ananda, Brahman is bliss, Brahman is the real joy. So, yastu atmaratireva syat, one who delights in the self alone, yes, atma truptascha. It is a psychological process. Suppose if I am delighted in something, I am satisfied with that. Suppose I take much pleasure in eating something, I am satisfied with that. I no longer require any other thing. So if we are delighted in Atman or Paramatman itself, we are completely satisfied. What is satisfaction? It is not that after 1 hour, after 3 hours of our meal, we want food again. It is not kind of satisfaction that we derive from the food or any other external means. We get eternal satisfaction. Nitya Trupti, we call it. It is not an ordinary Trupti. We don't want anything because we have found out our real nature to be bliss divine. And Swami Vivekananda puts it beautifully, each man is potentially divine. To manifest the divinity is the goal of life. And also he says in another place, religion is the manifestation of divinity already in man. Divinity is already there. The God is already there, Atman is there. To discover that I am Atman is the source of eternal satisfaction. So one who is Atmarati, automatically he becomes Atma Trupta. That is how we have to connect Atmarati and the Atma Trupta. Then he will find his happiness only in Atman. This is very important. You read the passage, the second line, Atmanyeva cha santushtaha. Suppose if you are satisfied with something, you also may be hankering or craving for something which satisfies you. That is in the external, that is in empirical field, in ordinary sense. You are satisfied with a house, but you want one more house to make you more happy, more satisfaction. There is no such thing as more satisfaction. Once we are satisfied, you are eternally satisfied. That is why I use the word Nitya Trupta. When you are Nitya Trupta, you are always happy, you are always contented, you are always Santushta. What is Santushta? One who imbibes the Santosha is called the Santushta. What is Santosha here? As I already told you, it is not the Santosha we derive from the sense objects. The God himself is Santosha here, Ananda here. So when we have the source of joy, the joy itself, there is a vast difference between joy we get out of the objects of the world and the joy we get from the God. Because God himself is joy here. There is no other, joy is not the quality of the God here. The joy itself is God, God itself is joy. So, when we get that eternal joy, we don't need anything else at all. So, one he finds happiness only in God. Atmanevacha santushtaha. So, we shall remember once again the three qualities which depend upon each other. One is Atmarati. From Atmarati comes Atma Trupti. From Atma Trupti comes Atma Santushti. One who finds Rati, enjoyment in Atman, is called Atma Ratihi. One who finds Trupti, satisfaction in the Atman itself, he is called Atma Truptaha. And then one who finds happiness or the joy only in Atman, and such a person is called Atmanevacha Santushtaha. Tasya, for him, there is no work. What is meant by work? In ordinary sense, if you have desires, you want to fulfill them and you go on working. I want to earn more money, you go on working. I want to have prestige in society, I want to make a good living. All these desires will tempt us to work and work and work for the most of the time in our life. We work up to the age of 70. In some countries, some Western nations, they work up to 80, 90 also, because they cannot do away from the work. They cannot live without work because the desires prompt them and the aspirations prompt them. We want more, we want more, we want more. But this Atma Rati, Atma Trupta, one who is Atmanevacha Santusha, doesn't require anything else. He has found what is the goal of life, the God Himself, which fulfills all his aspirations. So, tasya karyam na vidyate. There is no obligatory duty. Here also the commentators have pointed out, karyam na vidyate. What is karya? Karya means kartavya, the duty. So here from morning to evening we were bound by the duties. I have a duty to perform in the morning. I have a duty towards my husband or wife. I have a duty for my children. I have a duty. I have to go and bring the milk. I have to bring the provisions. We force ourselves too much to do works as duty, duty, duty. And Swami Vivekananda says in his Karma Yoga, duty is a midnight, duty is a scorching sun. If we do that works as duty, it will see that it is forced upon us. We are forced by that, we are bound by that. If we can convert the same duties as the Karma Yoga, if we can do the same duties without attachment, without much desires, just as we go on doing the work without any turbulence in our mind, no excitement, no desires, we go on doing the duty with selfless attitude, with an offering to God, that will become Karma Yoga. So that karyam or the duty is for the commoners. Those who think they want to have something more, they need to have something more. They need to have to achieve more. For him, one who is perfected soul, like Sri Krishna or the Gautama Buddha, whose birthday we are going to celebrate tomorrow, for him, tasya karyam na vidyate. Why? Why there is no duty for him? The next shloka says, Naiva tasya krutena arthaha, na kruteneha kaschana, nachasya sarva bhuteshu, kaschid artha vyapapshrayaha. For him the perfected soul, iha, in this world, krutena arthaha, na akrutena iha. Krutena. For commoners, they have to do something because they want to achieve something. For a perfected soul, he is Atma Rati, Atma Trupta, and Atmanevacha Santushtaha. He has nothing to achieve by action. That is what is meant by krutena artaha. Artaha means something we try to achieve, the goal or the objective of the work. Krutena, by doing something, we want to achieve some objective that is not at all there for him, because he is always satisfied in his Atman or Paramatman, Atmaratihi, Atmatruptaha, Atmanyeva cha santushtaha. Suppose he doesn't do anything, or suppose he doesn't carry out his duty, so any defects falls on him? Nothing, because he did not fall into the bondage of the karma at all. For ordinary people, it is a defect if we don't perform a karma or obligatory duty. For him, he has transcended that. He is finding his joy only in Atman. So no norms or the duties of the world will bind him. Na akrutena iha kaschana. Iha means in this word akrutena. But not doing something, he will not incur any sin, or he will not get into any trouble or the defects. Nachasya sarva bhuteshu. Why it is so? So these are all hetu and hetu mad bhava. What is hetu here? Hetu is what we are going to read in the second line. Hetu mat, what has got the reason? The reason for this is given in the second chapter. So the perfected soul does not have anything to achieve. Krutena artaha natasya. And he doesn't have anything akrutena. He doesn't lose anything by not doing something. If I don't do something, I am going to lose something. No, it's no way. He doesn't lose anything by not performing a particular action. Why it is so? Na kaschid artavyapashrayaha sarva bhuteshu. Artavyapashrayaha means by action you will achieve something, and you depend upon something through which you want to attain by the work. Suppose I want money. I have to take up a job to earn the money. That is dependency on the money. Vyapashrayaha is dependency. Dependency on the money is vyapashrayaha. Artha vyapashrayaha. The objective of my work is called work here. And I am dependent upon that. Vyapashrayaha, dependent on. Artha means the objective of the work for which I have to do my work. So in whole universe, there is nothing in all the living beings. He doesn't depend upon anyone to fulfill his objective by doing some work. That is the meaning here. Suppose you do work to fulfill some objective. That's why you go to office and you try to please your boss, and you do the work of your superiors. So you are depending upon the superiors to fulfill some objective. That is money. That objective can be fulfilled only by the pleasing the person, that boss. But here the Atma Rati and Atma Trupta, there is no one, Sarva Bhuteshu. There is no one in this world through which he has to fulfill his obligation or the objective of his work. So he has no work to do at all, because he has nothing to gain and nothing to gain by performing a work, and nothing to lose by not performing the work. This is the meaning of naiva tasya krutena artaha nakrutena kaschana nachasya sarva bhuteshu kaschidartha vyapashrayaha. There is no dependence on any created being for any object which he has to fulfill through the work. And Krishna says, "O Arjuna, you are not a perfected being, but I am going to tell you an instruction. That instruction is common for both perfected people and those who are not yet become perfect. In the words of Vedanta, Jnani and Ajnani, one who is Atmarati, Atmatrupta and Atmanevacha Santushta, he also should continue to work according to me, as Krishna says. Of course, the Ajnani, one who is imperfect, has to continue to work because it is a sadhana for him. Jnani has nothing to gain, nothing to lose. He doesn't depend upon anyone in the universe to fulfill an objective of his work. Still, he has to continue to work. If a jnani has to work, then what about the ajnani, imperfect one? He should work. So, Arjuna, tasmad asakta satatam karyam karma samachara. Asakto hacharan karma paramapnoti purushaha. So you have to continue to work, O Arjuna. There is no alternative path for you. But how you should do the duties? I already explained to you, karyam na vidyate for atmarati. Karya means the duties, obligatory, mandatory duties one has to perform. And the atmarati, the imperfect soul, doesn't have any obligation of that sort. But definitely a commoner like you and me definitely has got an obligation. We have to do lot of work. But how to do it? Krishna teaches us now. Asaktaha satatam. This is the important word, very important word in bhakti, in karma yoga. We have to perform all our action with the detachment. So we should not be attached to money, we should not be attached to the prestige, we should not be attached to too much about the enjoyment of this world. We should continue to do the work as Shankara says, as Shankaracharya in his commentary says, as an offering to the Lord. Shankaracharya clearly says what is meant by asakti. Asakti means we have to do all the work as Ishwararpana buddhi. Asaktaha sangavarjitaha. That means Ishwararpana buddhya. Buddhi means with the attitude that I am offering everything to the Lord. This kind of attitude, according to Shankara, is the asakta buddhi. And there is another qualification, satatam, always we have to do. There cannot be a single moment where we can say, let us relax, let us not do any duty, let us take retirement, or let us take a break. No, we have to continue to fulfill our obligation, continue to do our duty. There are number of duties for us, duty towards the family, duty towards the people around us, duty towards the society, duty towards the country. Now the war is going on. It is not that only soldiers have a duty, we also have a duty. So we have to perform our duties efficiently so that to increase the productivity and efficiency in our work so that the country will be benefited. Ultimately, the nation first, the country is far, far greater than us. So we are all the members of the country. The social message also we see in this verse. Satatam karyam. Karyam should be done, the duty should be done, but with continuously we have to. We should think only of the work. But Ishwararpana buddhya, that is very important. That is what is meant by asaktaha satatam. How to do any duty? First thing is asaktaha, then satatam. Satatam, asaktaha, karma, sarachara. The benefits of doing the work without detachment is spelled out in the second line. Asakto hyacharan karma. This is the difference between ordinary work and the karma yoga. If you do action without attachment, surrendering all our action, as in the Shankara's words, Ishwararpana buddhya, then we will attain the supreme. there is every chance we will get the liberation. We will attain Vaikunta, Kailasa, even the Brahman itself, the moksha, the final liberation, the final emancipation itself is the goal of a karma yoga. But Shankara says we have to first purify our mind through karma yoga, that is chitta shuddhi. Chitta shuddhi will prepare us to get the jnana, jnana nishtha. Through jnana nishtha, one can attain the liberation. But there are other schools which says through karma itself, by doing karma for the Lord, karma for the God, one can attain the moksha itself. So whatever may be, the goal of karma yoga is not the material benefit or the material prosperity. The goal of karma yoga is to attain moksha itself. If you go on performing the action, satata, always, with detached mind, by offering all your actions to God, you will be able to reach the God itself. So, asakto hi acharan karma param. Param means the supreme itself, the supreme God, the supreme Brahman itself one can attain. So there is an example in the past. Sri Krishna says, even before the birth of Krishna, there were great sadhakas who have attained perfection or samsiddhi. Here samsiddhi means the supreme attainment. What Krishna says in Param, the same as samsiddhi. Karmanaiva hi samsiddhim astita janakadayaha Lokasangrahamevapi sampashyan kartumarhasi. Janaka, Ashwapati, these are all great kings. They are called Rajarshis. How to derive the Rajarshi word? They are kings as well as the Rishis. They were both. They were kings as well as the Rishis. They led a life of Rishis, great monks or the great sages, and also they were kings. So they led spiritual life even in the midst of kingly duties. That is the speciality of Janakadayaha. Janakadayaha samsiddhimastitaha. What is referred as paramapnoti in the previous word, Krishna says here samsiddhi. Samsiddhi means once again perfection, the liberation or the emancipation or the moksha. Janakadayaha samsiddhi mastitaha. So Krishna or Shankaracharya is fond of the samyak darshana. That means Atma Aikya Vijnana, to realize the truth that Atman and Brahman are one and the same. That is the samsiddhi here. How they got? Through karma alone. They never gave up karma. Even when they become perfect, when they become jnanis, they never gave up the karma. That is the idea. There were some people like Shuka Maharshi or Sanaka, Sanandana, etc. They gave up karma and took up the life of mendicants or the sannyasin. But the Janaka and Ashwapati, these kings, even after realization, they continue to do the karma. You follow that path. You may, even if you become a jnani, even if you think you are a jnani, you are not bound to leave the karma. You are not liable to do the karma alone. You should do the karma. You cannot give it up, because there is a great example of Janaka, Ashwapati, etc. Karmanaiva hi samsiddhim astita janakadayaha. Why they have done? Lokasangrahartam they have done. Lokasangraha is a wonderful word which is of very much importance in Karma Yoga. Lokasangraha means there are several dimensions or annotations to Lokasangraha. I will tell you 2 or 3 of them. First one is the welfare of the whole world. the people of higher caliber, though they are not obliged to do the karma, though they are not bound to do the karma, they should continue to do the work according to Krishna. So, who are those people? He has already mentioned. Atmaratihi, Atmatruptaha, Atmanevacha Santushtaha. Even such people should continue to do the work. Why? Because, as Krishna says in the next to 2-3 verse, people follow them, people look upon them as their model. So, if great people, people of higher caliber like Rama, Krishna, Jesus Christ, Buddha, Gautama Buddha, and Sri Ramakrishna do not do the work, and people would also stop doing the work, and there will be destruction in the cosmic system, and all this will come later. So, for the welfare of the world, for the good of the world, you have to continue to do the karma. Lokasangraha mevapi sampashyan. Even by seeing the benefit of Lokasangraha, the welfare of the whole world, you should continue to do work, even if you are in the state of perfection. Even if you think you are a jnani, you should continue to do the work. That is the command of the Lord Krishna. This is the one meaning. The second meaning is to make the people follow the right path. This is the second meaning. The first meaning is the welfare of the whole world. The Lokasangraha means the welfare of the whole world. The second meaning is to make the people follow the right path. Because the right path for the people would be to take up some right action and do it in the spirit of detachment, that is Karma Yoga. To transform every action into Karma Yoga, that is the right path. How to do it? A perfected souls have to show it, exhibit it. You see the exhibition of such great ideal of Karma Yoga in Gautama Buddha's life. In fact, Swami Vivekananda says he is the greatest Karma Yogi. He lived for others. He spent much of the time. It is said 45 years of his life he spent teaching ahimsa, teaching Buddha Dharma, teaching the right conduct for the whole humanity. 45 years he was ready to sacrifice his life for a humble animal, and we see it in the end of his life, very humble animal, he was ready to sacrifice his life. So we take the example of great illuminaries like Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna had no necessity of doing any work after his realization, but he was continuing to do the work. Karma kathor, we sing in the Arati. Karma kathor, what does it mean by karma kathor? He was the embodiment of strenuous work, extraordinary work, tremendous work. All his work was karma yoga for the benefit of this world. So Sri Ramakrishna is the example of doing work with the spirit of Lokasangraha. And Sri Krishna, what necessity was there in Krishna coming in the middle of this dispute between Kauravas and Pandavas and trying to help the Pandavas to win over the Kauravas and all these complexities? He had no need at all. He is a perfected soul. How you know Krishna was a perfect soul? You see the Gita, his teachings. Gita itself shows he was a perfected soul. Even then, he was engaged in karma kathor. So Gautama Buddha was engaged in karma kathor. So Sri Ramakrishna was karma kathor. Sri Krishna was karma kathor. Sri Rama was also karma kathor. Even the Jesus Christ, a perfected soul, spent his blood, they say, for the sake of humanity, for the compassion he showed towards others, and he moved from place to place preaching his gospel. So you see, they are all examples of great karma yoga. So in the case of liberated souls like Sri Krishna, Gautama Buddha, Sri Ramakrishna and Jesus Christ, this is the case of Lokasangraha, to prevent the people from going astray in the wrong path. This is the third meaning. So the first meaning is welfare of the whole world. The second meaning is to make the people follow the correct path or the right path. And the third meaning of Lokasangraha, as Bhagavan Shankaracharya himself says, Lokasya unmarga pravrutti nivaranam, not allowing the people to follow the wrong path by giving them, by showing them the right path. So Krishna says here, Lokasangraha mevapi sampashyan kartumarhasi. Even for the good of the society, welfare of the whole, keep that in view. With that view, continue to work. Continue to work. You may be a perfect soul, but never stop the work. Yadyat, why it is because yadyada charati shreshtaha tatta devetaro janaha sayat pramanam kurute lokas tadanu vartate. Yadyad acharati shreshtaha. Shrestha means the prominent people, the noble people, the great avatars, of whose example I have given just now, the example of Sri Krishna, Gautama Buddha, Shankaracharya, Jesus Christ, Sri Ramakrishna, they are all Shreshtaha. Yadyad acharati, whatever they do, whatever they perform, what kind of work they do, if they don't do work, the ordinary people also will stop doing the work. Oh, we will follow Krishna, we will follow Sri Ramakrishna, we will follow Jesus Christ. They will also stop work. Why we are doing so much service activities in Ramakrishna mission? Our example is Sri Ramakrishna himself. Our example is Swami Vivekananda himself. Though Sri Ramakrishna did not do any medical service, but definitely he did the service in the form of preaching. Spiritual service he did until the last breath of his life. So Jesus Christ, so Krishna, we are following the example. Otherwise there will be no service activities at all. There will be no need of service activities. We would think that all things are not necessary. We are following the examples of the great one, yadyadacharati, shreshtaha, the great men, the avatars, whatever they do, the ordinary people, tattadeva itaro janaha, the other people, those who are not great, common people, just follow them. Tattadevaha itare janaha. Sa yat pramanam kurute lokas tadanu varchate. What is good for the ordinary people is decided by these great people. Sri Ramakrishna will decide what is good for us. Jesus Christ decides what is good for us. Krishna decides what is good for us. Pramana means authority. They become the authority for us. What is authority? What is pramana? The great people's lives and teaching itself is apana. If Krishna considers working in the spirit of detachment, karma yoga is good, and that will become a standard for us. That will become an authority for us. And Sri Ramakrishna says, continue to do the work, but with a spirit of detachment. Meditate on God, but in the same time do the work. Give a part of the mind to God, and the rest of the mind devote to the work at hand. And Sri Ramakrishna said this. He never rejected karma yoga at all, and that will become pramana for us. And Krishna and also Jesus Christ continue to work. He shed his blood. He was ready to sacrifice his life for others. That will become a pramana from us. Sa yat pramanam kurute. What he thinks, what such a great man thinks as pramana, the authority, standard, lokaha, the common people, anuvartate, they follow it. So that is why we follow, we imitate the great people. There is a beautiful book called Imitation of Christ. Swami Vivekananda, in his wandering days, carried only two books. The one book is our book, the Bhagavadgita. The second one is the Imitation of the Christ. These books were his constant companions while he was traveling. So we have to imitate Lord Jesus. That is the meaning, that is the essence of that book. In the same way, while reading and trying to understand Bhagavad Gita, we are following or imitating Lord Krishna himself. While reading the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, we are trying to imitate, or we should imitate Lord Sri Ramakrishna himself. Ramayana is not just a reading of Ramayana is not just a religious activity. It is a spiritual pursuit. We have to imitate Rama in the times of the crisis that happened in our life. So we have to imitate Lord Krishna. The imitation of Lord Krishna, imitation of Lord Christ, imitation of Lord Sri Ramakrishna. This is the goal, this is the objective of our reading of the books like Bible or Ramayana or Gospel of Ramakrishna or the Bhagavad Gita. So Krishna sets a standard for us and we try to follow it. Sri Rama sets a standard for us. We try to follow it. Sri Ramakrishna sets a standard for us and we try to follow it. That's what Krishna says here. Whatever standard, whatever action he does, a perfect soul does, it becomes a standard for the common people and they try to imitate it. Sa yat pramanam kurute lokaha tat anuvartate. So Krishna gives his own example. Now Krishna to be considered as a perfect soul. He is the man of realization. It is evident in Bhagavad Gita. He is the Lord himself. Who is the Lord? Who is Paramatma? Paramatma is Nitya Mukta. What is the difference between a Jnani and Paramatma? Nothing. Jnani is as good as Paramatman itself according to Advaita Vedanta. Now Krishna stands up and takes up the high pedestal of Atma Jnani and he says, "O Arjuna, I don't have any work in whatsoever in the three worlds." In the three worlds, not only in Bhuhu means this earth, Bhuvahayam, Swahaha, there are two other words, heavenly words. I don't have work in the three worlds. Name parthasti kartavyam trishu lokeshu kinchana. Here kartavya we understand. But in other earlier shlokas, Krishna used the word karya. Remember this, what is used as karya is same as kartavya here. Kartavya, duty. Karya is also duty. Krishna used the word karya in previous verses. The same karya is mentioned here as kartavya. I don't have any work in all these three words. He has mentioned three words. Does it mean he has some work in other words? No, he doesn't have work in any other word, let alone these three words. Why? Because na anavaptam avaptavyam. These are two words are very important. Na anavaptam. Na anavaptavyam. I don't have anything that I have not got. I have achieved everything. It is I who has become everything. It is I who, Paramatman is in the shape of everything. This whole world is but the Paramatman. I have nothing to gain. Na anavaptavyam. First one is anavaptavyam, impossible to attain. There is nothing in this world which I have to get, which I have yet to get. Na anavaptavyam, or which is impossible to get. And avaptavyam, all right, you go and get something. There is nothing, I have got everything. Whole world is mine, the whole universe is mine. So there is nothing to be attained and there is nothing impossible for me to attain. Na anavaptavyam, na avaptavyam. Kinchana, anything does not exist in the whole world, whole universe. Therefore, there is nothing I should gain or nothing I lose by doing or not doing the work. There is nothing in this world I gain by doing the work. There is nothing in this world I lose by not doing the work. But nothing to gain, and there is nothing to gain for me, and there is nothing not gained also. I have everything. You have a refrigerator in his house. You want a bigger one, sophisticated one. That is something avaptavyam. You want to attain that. Krishna doesn't need any refrigerator. Avaptavyam nasti. And na avaptavyam. There is impossible to get. Oh, it is for me impossible to get that object. Till I have a desire. Krishna can get anything of his wants. But he doesn't want it. He doesn't want it. So there is nothing to be attained and there is nothing impossible to attain. Because the whole world is nothing but God. Still, Krishna says, Vartaye evacha karmani. I am continuously engaged in work. Work with no purpose at all. No objective at all. I continue to do work without any motive. Follow my example. Follow my example. I am your ideal. I am your ideal. I am the real exemplar of Karma Yoga. I am doing Karma Yoga, though I have nothing to gain by doing the work, nothing to lose by not doing work. Just follow me. Follow my words. Be detached. Surrender everything to me and continue to do work with a detached spirit, with a calm mind, with equipoise and with devotion to me. This is the message of Karma Yoga Krishna is conveying to us. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Rama Krishna Arpanamastu. There is an announcement. Recently, on sacred Janmatiti of Sri Ramakrishna on 1st March 2025, our Advaita Ashrama brought out letters of Swami Vivekananda, revised and enlarged edition in 4 volumes. The set of 4 volumes is priced rupees 2000. In volume 1, volume 2 and volume 3, volume 4, the edition comprises 815 letters in all, included in 4 volumes. There are comprehensive footnotes, charts, historical context of the letters and relevant photographs, and these 4 volumes are highly subsidized, only priced 2000 rupees. You are welcome to purchase it in our bookstall in Basavangudi Ashrama. Thank you.